Video is brought to you by Sneak. As a penetration tester, I often work with security teams and developers to address vulnerabilities, and it is not as easy as it sounds. I often run into the classic telephone game. Details get lost in translation. Whether it's a pen tester reporting it, a security engineer, or someone on the development team, there's all these silos we go through and things may not get patched appropriately. Well, I want to tell you about a completely free workshop that Sneak is hosting on May 15th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time about how to develop a security champions program in your organization to address that issue. If you are a developer, if you are a leader in your organization, or if you're just someone who wants to figure out how to address vulnerabilities from a team-based and more holistic standpoint, this workshop is for you. The details for this workshop are in the description of this video, and I want to give a huge thank you to Sneak for partnering with me to make my courses more accessible to a wider audience of people. One of the most important skills to have in your journey of becoming an ethical hacker, and honestly just in your journey of learning, is having a good habit and strategy of taking good notes. So in this first part, we're going to talk all about how to take notes as a hacker and how a good hacker takes notes, especially those who want to be in the field as a penetration tester. Now, the first thing I need to get out of the way is it's less important which platform you use, and just more important that you're in the habit of taking notes every time you work through a course, every time you complete a machine, and every time you work through a learning lab, such as on TryHackMe. Now, you can use Obsidian, you can use OneNote, you can use Cherry Tree. I like to use Notion. So in this course, I'm going to show you how to do everything in Notion, but everything that I do here in Notion can be repeated maybe in a slightly different way in a different note-taking application. Let me go ahead and share my screen and give you a behind-the-scenes look at my Notion notebook. I'll zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better. But here on my lab section, I have a few different labs. We have cloud, on-prem, and then learning labs. And I'll show you a few of these, at least on how I structure my notes, and then we'll get our notes set up for this course. But if I go to on-prem, I can select any of these machines that I have done in the past. Now, I have to choose a machine that I know is expired, that you're at least allowed to kind of leak write-ups on. And I know, for example, the K2 machine over on TryHackMe is one of those. So you can see the K2 machine on TryHackMe had 3 different parts, and what I do for each part is I record detailed notes of everything that I am working on. Now, the cool thing I like about Notion is over on the right hand side here, it creates this table of contents for you. So I can quickly jump to what I want to see as I am going through my notes. So every time I work through a standalone lab, that is what I do. If I pull up another one here, so we'll scroll down and we'll say, for example, Forgotten over on VulnLab, same thing. I have a table of contents right here, and here are all my notes. And I do this quite literally every single machine that I do. I take detailed notes like this so that I can refer back to it. Or maybe I'll see an attack that I don't want to forget, and I refer back to it here to see what the attack actually was. Just as my screen isn't full screen, we can do that real quick, make it look a little bit nicer. But let me show you some of the other notes that I take. So for example, outside of challenge labs, there's also learning labs as we work through things. And some of these things are going to be from PortSwigger. So I can go to HTTP request smuggling here. And as I work through the PortSwigger lab, same thing. I took detailed notes on what I was learning and what I was working through. Now, by taking notes, you reinforce the learning just by the act of hands on keyboard or fingers on pencil and writing down what you are learning and highlighting some of the main ideas. So I encourage you to take notes in that way, but additionally, it's super helpful to take notes. So if you get stuck on something, you can refer back to it. So one example, which is going to be out of scope for this lab, but it's a good example, is you might encounter a WordPress website. Now, once you study WordPress, you know that from the perspective of an ethical hacker, there's a tool called WP Scanner that you might use, or WP Scan. And let's say we don't remember the syntax for that, but we know we have used it on a previous machine. Well, here in Notion, we can go over here to search and just start typing WP Scan, and you can see, I can see all the different machines that I use WP Scan on, including the syntax and the notes in order to do that. So that's why it's helpful to always take notes as you are working through machines. And let's go ahead and get notes set up for our course and the machine that we are going to be working on today. So for me, I'm going to go to my on-prem notes. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and here in Notion, I'm going to do a / like that. That means a command here in Notion, and I'm going to type page. So / page, and then hit enter. And it's going to give me a new page, and the name of our machine is going to be called Silver Platter. So I'm just going to type that out, Silver Platter, and I like to specify that it is from TryHackMe, and we will go up here and make it full width. Those are just the little things. You don't have to do them, but I like doing them. And I also like to close the sidebar over here, so I have a nice full screen here of the machine machine that we are starting. Now, before we even dive into the enumeration or even launching the machine, let's get our initial note set up. What I like to do first of all is make a table of contents at the top so I can quickly look at my table of contents and see everything that I've covered up to this point. To do that here in Notion, we're going to do a / and just start typing table of contents. I should also clarify, as I am doing this, I use a completely free version of Notion. So I'm not showing anything that's paid. Everything that I'm doing right now in this video is free, and you're able to do it with the free Notion account. But once again, you don't have to use Notion. Use whatever note-taking process works best for you, and just retrofit what I'm showing to your own note-taking process. But here we created a table of contents, and now I always like to begin with an H1 or a header 1 tag for enumeration. It's really easy to do that in Notion. It's just / and then H1, like so, and then just hit enter on your keyboard, and we will call this enumeration. You'll see that our table of contents automatically starts filling out as we fill in headers on Notion, which is one of the reasons I love this for taking notes. But we have our enumeration. Now, underneath enumeration, let's make a H2 tag. So like this, / H2, and then enter, and we'll call this InMap. And this is where we're going to drop the results of our InMap scan. If you don't know what InMap is or don't know how to do that, that is fine. We're going to do all of it together. In this video, we're just doing our initial setup of our notes. Now, underneath InMap, we know that we're going to have a code block, or we're going to copy it from our command line into our Notion, so it'd be helpful to make a code block for us to work with. To do that, on your keyboard, underneath your escape key, you have a backtick. Do 3 backticks, 1, 2, 3, and on the third backtick, it will create a code block for you. Now, if it doesn't specify bash, you can do that by clicking up there and just specifying the language of bash. That's what we'll use for our code block, and we have InMap set up, and that's good first steps to our enumeration because we don't know what other services and other ports are going to be open. Based on the ports that are open, we'll fill in the rest of our notes, and although this section right here is all about preparing your notes, really the entire course is going to be about how to take good notes. As we enumerate this machine, as we do vulnerability research, we're going to document everything in our notes so we're able to refer back to it. So go ahead and get your notes set up, and I will see you in the next part.